Hello Finders crew, welcome back to my channel. My name is Logan and today I'm going to be using this guy right here, the Ninja Creami, to test out 3 recipes that I found online. I'm going to let you guys know how they taste and if you should make them, so let's dive right into that. For the first recipe here, I'm just going to use a can of pineapples. I'm going to pour as much of this can as I can into the jar here and then we'll freeze it for 24 hours and we'll check on this recipe after. So let's open up this can of pineapples here. I basically wanted to start as simple as possible with this first recipe and then kind of get a little bit more complex as it goes on. So let's get some of that juice in there and those pineapple chunks too. We'll go right up to the fill line with it. All right, so we're right at that max fill line. Maybe a little bit less should be in there, so I'm gonna pour a small amount of this juice out. That should do the trick, just under the max fill line. I'll throw this lid on, and now this one goes in our freezer for 24 hours, and we'll be back to try it soon. For recipe number 2, I'm gonna use this can of peaches, and I'm gonna add a little bit of sweetened condensed milk in this one too, so a little bit more complex from our first recipe. I'm going for like a peaches and cream sort of vibe, so let's get this can of peaches opened up, and we'll toss some of that in there with the juice and the chunks and everything. Looks like we got peach halves in this one. Open up our second container and start to toss some of this in. And there we go. I think that's good on the peaches there. Then let's open up our sweetened condensed milk. I'm gonna use my can opener and get this one opened. There's the sweetened condensed milk. If you've never had it, it's like a very, very sweet, thick milk. It's really delicious when making like ice cream with it, but let's pour a good amount in here. All right, I think that should be enough. I'm kind of just eyeballing this, but I don't want there to be too much in there. I'm gonna stir that up a little bit before I freeze it so it mixes in. Get a nice creamy color in there with my peaches. Almost looks like peaches ice cream already. So once this freezes and goes in the creamy, it's gonna be nice and delicious, I think. I'm just gonna taste it to see how sweet it is and if I wanna add more sweetened condensed milk. I think it's pretty good. You get a little bit of the condensed milk flavor, you get a little bit of peach flavor, but it's not too strong on either of those things. So let's toss on the lid, throw this one in our freezer, and we'll come back for it in 24 hours to do a nice taste test of it. For our third recipe, we're gonna make a cookies and cream Ninja Creami. I've got all the ingredients already on the counter here. We're gonna get to mixing, put this all together, and get this in the freezer. So we're gonna start off with cream cheese. It calls for about 15 grams of cream cheese, so I'm gonna put that in here. Probably about this much should do. Way too much. I'm gonna take half of that. All right, I think we're good enough at 20, no problem there. And I'm gonna toss this in the microwave for 10 seconds and then I will be back to add the rest of the ingredients. Next up, I'm throwing in 1/3 of a cup of sugar in here. That should do the trick. Let's get that poured in. It's a little bit short, so I'm gonna add a small amount more. Next up, we're throwing in a teaspoon of vanilla. This is a half teaspoon, so I'm gonna put in 2 of them. And now I'm gonna combine this for about 60 seconds or so until it looks like a frosting. So hopefully that's not too difficult to get to here. And this is where it's at after about 60 seconds of mixing. So we get kind of like a frosting consistency, nice and thick. In a separate bowl, I'm gonna pour in 3/4 of a cup of heavy whipping cream here. So let's get that in, 1/4 cup at a time. And in the same bowl, I'm gonna mix in a whole cup of whole milk as well. About a cup of whole milk. And now for the final step with this one before it freezes, I'm gonna mix that heavy cream and whole milk mixture into our kind of frosting thing that we created earlier. And once that's all mixed together, I'm gonna freeze it. So I'll pour in a little bit at a time here, probably like 1/3 of it or a 1/5 of it or so, something like that. Start to get it mixed in. So I'll start to mix this in slowly as it dissolves a little bit, get more of that mixture poured into there. Kind of mix as I pour now. Get it nice and incorporated. I can see the sugar dissolving in there slowly, and that's definitely what we want this to be, kind of one consistency before we pour it into our pint. Almost got all of our milk poured over. Let's continue to mix this now until all of that sugar is fully dissolved, and this is basically just one liquid. You can see we're pretty much there. There's a little bit of sugar, so Maybe another minute or so of mixing. All right, I think we are there. If you take a look at it, it basically looks like one full mixture, maybe some small pieces that are not fully incorporated, but for the most part, I think we're good. Let's get this poured into our pint mixture here. And there's a little bit of sugar pieces left behind, but I think once this actually freezes and we blend it, that's gonna mix up anyway, so I'm just gonna get them in there. And we'll throw the lid on this one and get it in our freezer for the taste test tomorrow. It's now been 24 hours. Let's grab those recipes out of our freezer and we're gonna throw them in the Creami right here and get those made. So here's our pineapple one. Let's throw this in its container right here for the Creami. Get this opened up. And it just goes in here just like this. It's super simple to use. You just kind of toss it in, twist this guy on, and then we're gonna lock it into our Creami. Hit the power button, and it kind of confused me the first time, but this like lifts up into it, just like that. And then I'm gonna hit the ice cream setting, and we'll be back when it is ready. And just finished, let's take it out. You do usually have to respin this once or twice, so here's what it looks like the first time with this recipe. And there you go. You can see it's not exactly 100% creamy yet. So we're gonna go ahead and respin this, and once it is creamy, I'll show you guys the final results. Sometimes you have to respin twice. And here we are after 2 respins. Check out this consistency. It's just a beautiful sorbet ice cream sort of consistency, but the ultimate test, let's see how it tastes. Let me get a small bite of it on my spoon. Here we go. It's obviously a very, very strong pineapple taste, considering pineapple's the only thing in there. That makes a lot of sense. It's really, really good. I definitely prefer it over like just a regular can of pineapples. I'm gonna give this one a 7.5 out of 10. All right, next up is our peaches and sweetened condensed milk. I'm super excited for this one. I'm guessing it's gonna taste like the pineapple one, but obviously peaches instead, and then a little bit sweeter from that condensed milk, which will be a perfect touch to it. So let's get this in the Creami and get this mixed up, and I'll show you guys when it is finally ready. All right, this one is ready for the taste test. Let's give it a shot. I'm super excited for this one because it's such a simple recipe, but might be a little bit better than just a regular can. So here is what it looks like. Again, super thick, fully upside down, same consistency. Let's give it a taste test. Oh yeah. So with the pineapples, the flavor is super, super tart because you're just basically getting smacked in the face with pineapples. The sweetened condensed milk in this peaches one makes it so that that tartness kind of backs off a little, and the sweetness of the condensed milk really, really comes in and balances it out fully. It's much creamier. It's much, much better than just the regular can. Highly recommend adding that sweetened condensed milk. This one I'm gonna give a 9 out of 10. And next up is our cookies and cream recipe right here. This one kind of just looks like milk right now. Basically, once we mix this one up, I'm gonna put a hole in it and mix in those Oreos also. So let's get this one in the Creami. Once that's all mixed up and creamy, I'll show you guys before I add in those Oreos, and we'll be right back with you. All right, this one's all mixed up now and it's ready for those mix-ins there. So I'm gonna create a little hole in the middle right here. Let me grab a spoon to do that. Create a little hole here, kind of push things to the side so that we can get Oreos right in the middle, make them mix in a little bit better. I think that's pretty good. This already has a crazy consistency that looks just like ice cream. So I'm gonna see if I can fit in maybe 3 of them. So let's squeeze in 1 Oreo, 2. Yeah, I think we can get 3 Oreos in there, get it nice and chocolatey. Squeeze those in and we'll get it back into the Creami. I'm gonna run this on the mix in setting here, and then I will show you guys the final results once this is all mixed in and ready to be tasted. So here is the result to this one after those Oreos are mixed in. I mean, tell me that doesn't look absolutely incredible. We're gonna give this one a taste now. Grab my spoon here, check out the consistency. That is a little bit less thick than the other ones, I would say. It falls off the spoon, but it's definitely a nice ice cream consistency. It's like a little bit melty in here. So many Oreos. We gotta try this one, guys. This is just a perfect cookies and cream ice cream, honestly. Like if I bought this at an ice cream shop, I would be super happy with it. I'm gonna give it a 9.5 out of 10. Gonna be hard to beat this one.